Yeah, and the stock market was absolutely insane yesterday. It started off bad and just got worse and worse till about early afternoon, and it's really hard to pick the patterns because normally that's been happening a lot, that you have good or bad days in the morning, and it was a real shocker. But it got worse. It got so bad that I missed out on a great buying opportunity with CBA shares. I think they got down to about $57 per share. It might have been lower, it might have been 55. It really dropped, but the best I got was 59.5. So I could have done a lot better. And I've been buying up those shares, and I've got the average price down in my holdings down to about mid 60s, which is good for me, but I could have done a lot better. So it's a bit annoying. But I did. You never know how long these runs are going to last. A falling market, it's very difficult to pick, and that's why I've changed my strategy, and I'm actually not buying so many shares in one lot, because you've got to have more bullets to fire. Now I've got money in other accounts, but I've got to transfer it across, and I was restricted to $5 grand, so I'll have to basically look into maybe getting a bigger transfer done, just so I've got a bit of ammunition in the account with CommBank, so I can actually take advantage if the prices drop further. I'm happy that I've got more CommBank shares though, because the good thing about them is that their dividends are pretty well guaranteed. They can drop a little, but they're still going to be really good dividends, and much better than you'll ever get regarding bank interest. So that's the thing. I mean, the banks can be affected by all these economic ups and downs, but they're still insulated a lot compared to other businesses. They're much bigger. And I also saw Grain Corp. I missed out on a buying opportunity there for less than $7 a share, which is insanely low. That's where it dipped to, because I was watching the screens really closely yesterday, and that's how low it got. And but I did buy some cheap. I got it at $7.20, which is still cheap, and $7.40, so still pretty good prices. So I think that'll be a good investment, because my philosophy is people have always got to eat. So Grain Corp is a very safe investment, and like I say, I don't think they've been down below $7 for probably a decade or so. It's just that's how important this was, and this is what you've got to do when you invest in the share market. You've got to have a lot of patience, and you might have to wait a year, you might have to wait 18 months, you might have to wait 2 years for an event like this to occur. But when it does occur, it's damn good. It really does give you a lot of bargains, because the market will bounce back. I'm banking on the fact that the coronavirus will start leveling out and become more like a normal flu at some stage. I mean, technically it could get worse too. It could mutate, but I think more likely is that it's going to settle down. But the market won't be settling for at least a month, I think, and it's going to need some good signs of stability with corona and people being able to travel again and whatever. God, I'd hate to have things like Qantas shares. That'd really be hurting at the moment. Although I do have experience, which is the travel company based up here, and they're taking a bath, of course. Anybody involved in travel or travel leisure, are really going to be taking a bit of a hit. So it's tough times, but there's also an opportunity. And these days I'm not afraid to buy when in a falling market. The trick is to figure out when it's at the bottom, and that's impossible to tell. The only way to get around that is not to buy everything at once, and just to take your time, and other fabulous opportunities could come up in the next 4 weeks. I think it's going to be a very interesting time. I'm expecting the market to recover on Monday. It actually recovered at the end of the day. It actually turned into a positive market for the day after dipping horrendously earlier, so it was incredibly volatile, and that just seems to be what's happening, and that is an indication of fear in the market. People are scared out of their wits, so just something to keep in mind. Anyway, look, I'm really glad that checkout chick told me about when the delivery's coming, because it's the first time I've got some decent information from people selling stuff on the counter, so that's good. At least I can strategize around that and turn up early and get myself. I mean, I'm okay. I've got enough to tide me over, but as long as I can keep buying as I normally do. But yeah, these people, there's a picture of some guy online, I might be able to find it. It's in one of Tim Pool's videos today. He's just got a shopping trolley absolutely stacked to the brim with toilet paper, and I think it's just trying to make a quick buck. They actually had an undercover guy from one of the networks in America interviewing someone about it, and they admitted that that's what they were doing. And in some states in America that's allowed. They don't have anti-scalping laws, so yeah. But I think it's a real low act. But there are people like that. They're the same sort of people that would loot places when after say about a hurricane here, for instance, that sort of thing. You know, takes all kinds, I guess. So not good. Anyway, it's a nice day. Something anyway. I might go down to Dan Murphy's a little later. Waiting ages for this bus to arrive. No sign of them. Saturday's not good. They didn't have many good specials for members today. Just got some cider, got a couple of bucks off, but that was pretty ordinary. So I got myself some Jameson whiskey, Irish whiskey, and more of the cheap gin. So I'm set, plenty of booze. Now just got to find some toilet paper. I was talking to my cousin, and yeah, she was saying that she works at a hospital, and said the hospitals are gearing up in Melbourne for the coronavirus to create a fair bit of demand. They're going to set up a specific ward for coronavirus victims. Looks like I think they're going to do it at her hospital, which is a private hospital, so it's interesting. But yeah, they're anticipating an increase in cases to about May, and then hopefully tapering off after that, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's a problem, and I'm just going to get some cash into my CommBank account, so just in case there's another crash in prices like there was on Friday. Chances are there's going to be a few opportunities in the next few months, I'd imagine. It's quite a volatile market. Could be very good for making some trade profits, so we'll just have to look at that closely and see how we go. So I'll get all the investments done, then I'll look at possibly doing some trades and see how we go. Just if there's a big dip in prices, you'd be crazy not to take advantage of it. So yep, just keep looking and strike when the time's right. That's the idea. I hope I do get home tonight. This is taking a long time for this bus to arrive. Well, it's 8:10 on a Sunday morning in Cairns, and I haven't even had my coffee yet, so you know this is a very important mission that I'm on. And of course that mission is to snare myself some toilet paper before the shelves are emptied. So I'm going to go to Coles first off and see if I can get some toilet paper there. If I bomb out there, then I'll head off to Woolworths just up the road about 3 blocks further up, and see if I can get it there. Fingers crossed it works out. So certainly things are getting very serious when with Corona. I just looked at a video from Spain. James Blick, who's the guy who runs the Davao tour company in Spain, where they have tours of tapas bars and things like that. Yeah, food and wine mainly is the sort of tours he does, and he's had to suspend his business because once he heard that the flights to America have been suspended, and I think they're locking down Spain as well, he basically thought it's irresponsible to have groups of people touring, so they're basically going to suspend their business. So it's affecting everybody at the moment. Hopefully this is the high point of the lockdown. It's not going to get much worse, but the same thing's happening in Saigon. I got a WhatsApp message from a friend in Saigon last night. He told me that as of yesterday at 6 o'clock, all the bars and restaurants in District 1 have been closed for 2 weeks. So you know, I'm very happy that I got out of well, it was perfect timing to get out of Vietnam, because Yeah, I couldn't even have a drink at a bar for 2 weeks. It just, everything shut down. I think maybe some of the other outer suburbs it might be okay. Maybe District 7's still okay. I don't know. But it could be just right throughout the city. Yeah, Vietnamese aren't messing about with this. They've been pretty proactive, and people over there are wearing masks, and not that that's helping much, but yeah, you can see that it's there's a lot of awareness. Okay, this guy's he's happy. I don't know why that's funny. It's just a guy back there just laughing to himself. Very happy. I don't know if he's laughing at me or whatever, I'm not sure. Maybe he's got some toilet paper, that's why he's laughing. Oh, he's a happy boy anyway. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty serious. And I was reading an article, well, Tim Pool reads other people's articles and makes comments, but I thought it was irresponsible today because he's one of the people that's been sort of hyping the thing up to some extent. Now look, it could turn out to be pretty serious, or it could actually fade away. I saw his story today, then I saw Mr. Reagan's, there's another site that I check out online, and he had a much more measured approach to everything and was actually putting it into context and saying that the death rate from corona is actually quite low compared to many other pandemics that have taken place. So although the extent of it is incredibly wide, so that's obviously a problem. But what Tim Pool said, he cited 7% mortality rate in Italy, but what he failed to actually mention is that Italy has a very old population, and that is why they've got such a high mortality rate there, because coronavirus affects the elderly more than any other group, and they're the most susceptible to death. So he didn't even put that qualifier in. I thought that was very irresponsible of him. So his agenda is to actually create a level of fear like the mainstream media does. It's very disappointing because he's generally pretty responsible. So I don't want to pan the guy because I think he's actually better than most people in the normal media, but he does fall for that trap of chasing headlines at times and going on the sensationalistic route, and he's got to be very careful to keep a balance there, and I think he's overstepped the line there. So that's just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Mr. Reagan has a much more measured approach, so it just shows you that you get quite a diversity of opinion online, which is very healthy. That's a very good thing. And I thought he really well articulated its arguments. So I'll put the link into the Mr. Reagan clip and the Tim Pool one, and you can be the judge. Have a look at both of them and you decide which you think is more applicable. Certainly Mr. Reagan's is more optimistic in tone. No one knows exactly what's going to happen with this thing. You'd be lying if you said you did, because it could mutate. So no one knows where we're going to go. It could be a horrific turnabout, or it could just peter out. Hopefully the latter. Most people tend to think that we're going to have a peak in the next couple of months, April, May, in Australia, for instance, and other countries outside of China. Hopefully China's already stabilising, but we can't tell because they basically won't give us a factual outline of what's going on. No one believes Chinese anymore, so they have zero credibility with the world community, I'd say. So they've done themselves a lot of damage, and they've also this is going to cause long-term damage for them, in that countries are going to have to reassess their ability to produce vital products such as pharmaceuticals and computer components and many things. I think we're going to become much more self-reliant, and it's going to diminish those trade ties that have been set up between China and Western countries. I think people are really starting to reassess it, and part of that is the shift away from globalist politicians now being supported by the public to more nationalist ones. So the trend is definitely there. Things are changing. It's very pleasant walking here this time of day, I've got to say. This is not a bad thing. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.